wastewater treatment plant report.
Starting on page 5 of your packet is some additional information in there about composite sinking. That was the one thing that Bob Beanstra did not really have in his initial draft of the report. So these next 3 pages, then, a lot of them deal with composite sinking. Talked with Jack, about really what are some good next logical steps to take on this, and I like the format that Bob gave us as far as having some less expensive fixes to address up front, knowing that there are some bigger expenditures to happen out in the future. But as I was talking with Jack there, there's a couple things that really stand out about wanting to get done quicker, and that would be to fix the manhole and get the valve on the final clarifier so you'll be able to isolate the final clarifier.
And that was 2 of the things that they pointed out as defective on the original plan? Or the original engineering?
The manhole, certainly.
There is no valve on the clarifier.
There is no valve on the
No, you can't isolate one or the other. And that's
a splitter box.
right. So in the wintertime we can shut one off so we'll have twice the water going down and probably won't freeze up at all or near as bad. So we can just run one during the wintertime. And that would meet our DNR specs for what our flows are during the winter. So.
That estimate this at what cost?
It was $12,500 on the manhole and another $10,000 on the valve installation.
Now, would that help us, I guess, what do you think this will all come to a head with our lawsuit that we have against this other engineering company?
Well, I asked to give me authority to talk to Bob Beanstra about being an expert for that trial.
Okay.
Because we do have different opinions about the cost. And I told Bob over the phone that right now I haven't specified the cost to repair it. But I would like to use Bob as an expert for that trial.
Do you think that helps our case, and if we proceed to get this all done before we go to court, and show this as evidence? And
I think it helps to show that we're trying to stop the problem from getting bigger.
Yeah.
When we know that there's a problem and we then take on more, for example, let's say we took on Van Mannerberg and that had an effect on this, that definitely would affect our ability to say that we're immune from lawsuits because of being a city. When we knew, but we took on more.
Okay.
So yes.
So in other words,
it certainly can't hurt.
Yeah, okay, that's what I guess. We're able to show some hard facts, and then we also would have some hard numbers. So what you're saying that, you're bringing in him as an expert. Do we keep track of, for example, Jack's time or anybody that's working on that to specify how much time we put on that so that that can all be added in towards the lawsuit so that we keep, if we show good records, that would help us a lot more on the end.
Yeah, and you always want to be able to show that you're doing your best to diminish the damages that exist that we can diminish. So if Jack can keep track of any extra time over and above that he wouldn't have done otherwise.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I mean, so it takes a lot of, I guess, documentation, yes. Okay, that's something that I guess Scott could take the lead on too. If we decide to move forward, which I think we want, the first thing is just to stop it from getting any worse, any backup. Second of all, then we can go to court and show that we've got some hard figures. We're not pulling numbers out of the sky.
That's right, and you will have to have hard figures.
And I think that's the thing that we got to just be diligent on, I guess.
Right. And I did talk to Bob Beanstra a little bit about this. I received an answer today to the lawsuit from Kill and Payer's lawyer, and still have not yet heard from Moorhead in their law firm. So I'm going to go back and check service through the Secretary of State because they're a company in Minnesota. So.
Okay.
They're also talking about that. They do back up those fees.
For Moorhead? And then,
business.
so what we need to do is put some out for bids, is that what we need to do?
I think Jack and I would have a couple of contractors in mind that we could, first of all, we need to establish a spec on what that isolation valve is. We need to establish a spec on that. And then other than that, it really bring a couple contractors down, show them a couple areas of the project, hopefully to work on, and have them quote it. It's up in the price range where an informal quote still works fine. And if we can get a couple good quotes out of that, and we get a low guy.
So will we need another meeting, or can we tonight say, get it below this price and is that our bless?
It's, I guess, it's not going to work that quickly. So we'll be able to have quotes in that.
So what we need then is a motion that says, go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Get
Now,
the price.
assuming that's what you wanted to do.
What about paying for it? Is that mean to pay for it?
My suggestion would be that we use local law and sales tax money.
What about that money we got back from, what was that, 39,000? I don't,
No, we did, because we got paid for the tree cleanup.
Oh, that's right.
So we now have that much. What I've done with that is put that into those capital funds for
Working on it.
okay.
departments. That's where that's all ended up so far. As far as sales tax, we do have some unallocated sales tax money that would be enough to cover this cost.
You got $20,000?
We've got 50,000 plus, I suppose, in unallocated sales tax money. It would be, that'd be my suggestion, to use that money for this.
So we need a motion first.
The only other thing too,
Yeah, you know, get a couple guys in here and see what they can do.
And you want to do the first one and then the splitter box then, right?
Yeah, that's
So
So
we're on
125.
we're on page 8 of the packet, where you got the top set of bulleted points. You know, those were the things that Bob would recommend that we would do in the next couple of years. So the idea here is to
First two.
Right now, Jack really needs to be doing some more research on samplers anymore. We haven't looked at samplers for a lot of years. The technology's changed on that. So over the course of the next few months, we can look at samplers then too. As far as fixing up that trickling filter, we're going to talk about that a little bit, Jack, as far as what we can maybe do, but avoid a large project.
The worst thing is there's moisture in there all the time, trying to get the concrete patched and hold in there and still running. So we might do some foam or do something to seal it up for a couple of years, and then he has $20,000 to fix it. You know, then $60,000 in a couple of years to replace that wall. And just in 2 or 3 years, figure we're going to spend $60,000. And everything above the media is going to be cut off, and I think they're going to put a new wall up and then put the lid back on. Is what they plan to do. So, if we can get by a couple more years, and then instead of spending $20,000 for a patch job.
And the DNR can let us do that?
Yes. You know, they had some concerns about water coming through walls. One area was around the door, and we got to get that patched up around the door. We can get it patched up somewhat and enough to stop the leaks.
How much does a patchwork cost, did you say? Yeah, that's
I think they got some special concrete you can put on where it sets up really fast, and you know, put a board so the water don't spray on it. So you know, I could say probably half a dozen bags of cement, as long as it's above the water table where it sprays. Just maybe more than that. I haven't really looked on the inside that much. We dug down, and once you get below the media, the walls look good. We dug down about 3 foot, and below that walls really look good. So, and they got all new media, and they had new underdrains in the 10-year 99 project.